चंद्रयान 3 मिशन का काउंटडाउन शुरू हो गया।
चंद्रयान 3 को दोपहर 2:35 पर लॉन्च किया गया।
में चंद्रयान-3 की
Hi, this is Atharva, and you're watching the Mere Interpretation. So, recently, ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, launched the ambitious and much-awaited Chandrayaan-3 program from the Satish Dhawan Space Station, Sriharikota. What a remarkable moment it was. I mean, just check out this short video of people sitting in a launch view gallery at ISRO. From cheering only for India Park cricket matches to cheering for football matches and satellite launches, we Indians are getting more aware and mature. This mindset needs to grow much more if we are actually moving towards a developed nation. Not only Indians but also the whole world had eyes on us. Chandrayaan-2's failure was also on everyone's mind, so everyone had close eyes on us. Check out these tweets from different space agencies after the launch. Also, different Western media outlets had articles about our launch. Being a proud Indian, my heart feels immense pride. From this video of the Prime Minister consoling our ex-ISRO director, Mr. K. Sivan, to the launch of Chandrayaan-3, we have come a long way. Life is such an unpredictable tale. You were, at one point, lost in your own world, and in a blink of an eye, you are the center of a new world. Moving onward, the discussion of today isn't about how ISRO was formed or how we reached here. The point of discussion today is, what the hell happened 4 years ago? Why did Chandrayaan-2 fail? Why are we launching the mission again despite the lower probability of its success? What's the surety that this mission will have a soft landing on the moon's south pole? Let's dive into this in different sections. On our Chandrayaan-2 mission, we had a satellite with 3 parts. Orbiter, lander, which is Vikram, and rover, which is Pragyan. Also, there were 2 parts of the mission where the orbiter was supposed to move in an orbit around the moon like the communication satellites move around the earth, and the lander and rover was supposed to land on the moon with a method called soft landing. If we had done that, we would have become the 4th country after Russia, the USA, and China to do it successfully. But, for some reasons, it was delayed until now. We are not going to take that 4th spot, but we are also aiming to take the 1st spot for having a soft landing in the South Pole section. But what's so special about the South Pole? Why it's extremely tough to land there? Don't worry, it's not rocket science. Actually, it's rocket science, but not that tough. On Earth, we have the equator as well as the South and North Poles. What's the main difference between both? The sunlight, right. On the equator, the rays of sunlight hit in a straight line. But on both poles, they hit in a more slanting way, with less force. So, these areas are always dark in the absence of natural light. This is the same for the moon. The place that ISRO had chosen to land was on the south pole of the moon, which had the least light. Well, this is one problem. Another is on the moon, where there are big holes called craters as well as mountains. So, we installed cameras on the rover to capture the image and send it back to ISRO headquarters to decide if we could land on it or not. When the rover and lander got separated from the orbiter to have a soft landing, everything was fine until the fine braking phase. The phase from 0 to 5 kilometers above the lunar surface, as you can see in the graph again, the middle line was the projected path for lander's landing. Lander was approaching with a speed of 212 kilometers per hour towards the lunar surface, which was supposed to reduce until it was 400 meters above the surface. As you can see from the highlighted ones, those 5 are thrusters, which work on the principle of retardation, that is, reverse acceleration. As we know from the iconic third law of Newton, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, that works here. That was the purpose of thrusters. So, as the thrusters were ignited, one of the thrusters, the middle one, generated a higher thrust than expected. As it generated the higher thrust, the balance of the lander collapsed, and it started tilting a bit from its vertical position. So, as it was tilting more and more, the cameras fit in the lander but were unable to take photographs of the landing site. Because of this, the ISRO scientists were unable to decide on the landing position, which was designed in an area of 500 to 500 meters. After a while, the lander started taking sharp turns that were higher than expected. As it was turning sharply and moving fastly towards the surface of the moon, the ability of the software, being limited to some level, was compromised. and the lander went out of control. The last problem that rose was that, as the landing coordinates were fitted into the software of the lander, it started taking actions according to the estimated time and place. That is, it increased its speed and direction to cover the lost time and direction. But it was late. As you can see in the graph, the lander lost its connection to ISRO headquarters and did a hard landing, half a kilometer away from the expected landing zone. The area of debris from Chandrayaan-3 was located by NASA's lunar cameras and spotted by our Indian engineer, Shanmuga Subramanian, which NASA confirmed later. It was a technical glitch, pure technical glitch. The software couldn't calculate the risk, velocity, or time. The unexpected increase in thrust of one thruster, the limitations of software, and a lack of decision-making resulted in this fatal accident. Recently, Mr. S. Somnath, the director of ISRO, gave an interview to a news outlet, and when asked about the same, he explained this whole scenario. Though the journalist was quick enough to ask, how have we overcome these problems now in Chandrayaan-3? And that brings us to our next chapter. The main change we have made is our mindset. We had a success-based design, but in Chandrayaan-3, we have a failure-based design. I know you have a question. What is failure-based design? Well, it's a design made by taking every possibility of failure into consideration and working on it. Engine failure, software failure, calculation failure, temperature drop, algorithm failure, and more so. If any of those happened, we would be prepared. Also, ISRO has taken 2 years to simulate every situation that can occur. First, it is a thruster. In an updated design, as you can see, we have removed that 5th thruster. We now only have 4 thrusters and a larger fuel tank. So, even if we needed more effort to land than expected, we would have extra fuel for it. Also, we have a camera with a great capacity for zooming and clicking clear pictures up to a 28 cm area. And not to forget, we have one more addition left to the Chandrayaan-2 mission. The orbiter. Even if that mission was a failure, it wasn't a 100% failure. We have an orbiter that is still moving around the orbit of the moon, sending continuous images of the lunar surface, especially of the South Pole, which are already programmed in the lander of Chandrayaan-3. The second was the sharp and uncontrollable turning of the lander. For this, we have increased the margin of tilting angle. So even if a previous situation occurs, the software won't get confused and can handle the situation on its own. The third one was the confusion in the software about landing at a predetermined time and place. We have now increased the area of landing from 500 meters to 4 kilometers by 2.5 kilometers, so even if the lander is in range of 1 kilometer away from the center of the predetermined area, it will be in a landing zone and won't get panicked. In addition to this, we have increased vertical velocity from 2 meters per second to 3 meters per second. So, I guess you can relate to the title of this video now. Why will Chandrayaan-3 be successful? Failures are like coins. On one side, you can lose hope, but on the other, you can make that failure your ladder to success. Lastly, I have 3 memorable moments to show you that happened during this mission. Firstly, check those wheels on the Chandrayaan rover. On one wheel, the logo of ISRO is printed, while on the other, the national emblem of India is printed. Whether it was imprints or showing the Indian flag, when Republic Day was there, ISRO never missed the opportunity to show its patriotism towards our great nation. In addition to it, the former chief of ISRO, Mr. K. Sivan, also joined the launch of Chandrayaan-3. Lastly, being a fan of space movies, especially the recent film, Rocketry, it was nice to see the image where the founder of Vikas Liquid Engine, Mr. Nambi Narayanan, was watching the launching on television. That's all for today. The information that I gathered is from an interview with Mr. S. Somnath on a TV channel. I will add a link to it in the description. Thank you. Jai Hind.